Want to crack MAANG in just 45 days? Whether you are stuck in DSA or overwhelmed by system design, don't worry, I have built the ultimate day-by-day roadmap to make your MAANG dream come into reality. This video will consist of 3 things, that is 45 days plan, where I will be explaining day by day what to do and what not to do. Second, DSA plus system design, I will be talking about most important topics and the concepts that is frequently asked in the interviews of MAANG companies. And lastly, I will be giving you the bonus tip on mock interview strategies, which is really important before you attend your actual interview. So I highly recommend you to stay till the end of this video to get best out of it. Now, without any further delay, let's kick in our 45 days plan for the MAANG companies. Let's kick things off with the phase 1 DSA master revision. We are going all in for the first 20 days. Every day is designed to target one pattern or the concept. And also let me tell you that whatever the topics I'm going to talk about, make sure that you are picking up 10 questions from each topic, out of which 3 are easy and 7 are medium. Also at the same time, try to solve this problem within 30 minutes of time, because if you are not able to solve the problems in 30 minutes of time, it means you are not ready for the interview. Now let's break it down into the days and the week. Week 1, pattern based revision. Week 1 is all about the patterns, which is the secret sauce behind 90% of the LeetCode problems. Day 1, that is sliding window and 2 pointers. Sliding window and 2 pointers becomes lot more important to optimize subarray and substring problems from big of n square to big of n. There are number of problems you can get, like subarray with the maximum sum, subarray with the minimum sum. Day 2 will be fast and slow pointers. Now fast and slow pointers basically most of the time is used in the linked list, and there are so many of questions present which will be required slow fast pointers, like finding the middle node of the linked list to check whether the linked list contains a cycle or not. Day 3, binary search. Now binary search becomes lot more important nowadays, since there are frequently asked questions based on this topic. Binary search is categorized into 2 parts. First one is called as binary search on sorted arrays, and the second is binary search on answers. Binary search on answers becomes lot more important, since those are very hard to pick that pattern and identify what I need to apply on this. To practice this binary search on answers, you can pick up the questions like painter's partition problem, aggressive cows, and book allocations. Day 4 and day 5. These 2 days are basically and heavily focused on recursion and backtracking. Now recursion and backtracking becomes lot more important, and it is a base for the topics like trees, graphs, and dynamic programming. So we need to make sure that we become so much clear with the basics of recursion and backtracking. In order to do this, pick some basics problems from recursion and backtracking and try some standard problems like rat in a maze and queen problems, Sudoku solver, permutations. Day 6 will be on linked list, stacks, and queue. Now linked list, stack, queue might look like a easy topics, but when these problems comes in the interview, it becomes difficult to identify the pattern, especially when it comes to the stack. Stack contains a special pattern which we call as monotonic stacks, which is really important. So make sure that you pick up the problems like finding the next greater element, finding the previous greater element, next smaller element. And whenever it comes to the queue, there are some design pattern questions like implement the LRU, implement the LFU, etc. And finally, that is day 7 will be consist of mixed problems. Now whatever the problems we have solved within the previous 6 days, pick up the random 5 to 6 problems and try to solve it within 30 minutes of time. Now let's summarize what we need to do in the week 1, that is pattern based revision. Week 2, trees and the graphs. Now trees and the graph is lot more and heavily focused topics whenever it comes to the MAANG. So let's check it. What are the 7 days plan for the week 2 that is based on the trees and the graph? Day 8 will be completely and heavily focused on the DFS and the BFS on the binary trees. There are so many problems in binary trees which require DFS and the BFS. For example, finding the height of the binary tree, finding the width of the binary tree. Day 9 will be based on the binary search tree and the balance tree. Now binary search tree is another part of the binary tree which contains a property like the node which has a value less than the root node will be present on the left hand side, whereas a node with a value greater than the root node will be on the right hand side. Most of the binary search tree problems are solved with the help of the in-order traversal and keeping in mind the property that left nodes are smaller and the right nodes are smaller. Day 8, that is graph basics. Now graphs becomes a lot more important, more than a trees. Study the BFS and the DFS of the graph and solve the problems based on the DFS and BFS. Total number of islands, total number of connected components. Day 11 will be on topological sort. Now topological sort is a standard sorting algorithm which is applied on the graph with the prerequisite that it can be applied only on the directed acyclic graph. You can practice some standard problems like score scheduling. Day 12, union find and MST. Now in graph we know that there are two minimum spanning tree which is called as a Prim's algorithm and Kruskal algorithm. Identify how this basically works and when we need to use a Prim's algorithm and when we can use a Kruskal algorithm. Day 13 will be on try. Now try can be asked, cannot be asked, but make sure that you identify the basics of try. There are so many problems based on the strings which require complete use of a try, and the day 14 will be completely the mock test day. Again, whatever we have learned throughout 7 days of week 2, pick up the 5 to 6 random problems and try to solve those problems within 30 minutes of time. Let's summarize what we need to do throughout the week 2. Week number 3, dynamic programming. Dynamic programming is one of my all-time favorite topics. So let's check out what are the topics and the problems we need to focus whenever it comes to the dynamic programming. Day 15 to day 17 heavily focuses on 1D DP, 2D DP and DP based on the strings. You can get a problems based on the 1D DP like 0-1 knapsack problem, unbounded knapsack problems and cutting rod. 2D DP. 2D DPs are basically based on the matrix strings. Now standard dynamic programming whenever it comes to the string is LCS, that is longest common subsequence. So identify these patterns, solve some problems based on these concepts to get familiar with 1D DP, 2D DP and DP on strings. Day 18 will be completely on greedy. Day 19 will be on bit manipulation, and the final day, that is day 20, solve 4 to 5 questions which is tagged with the company's name like Google, Microsoft, Amazon and Meta. So this was a week 3. Let's summarize what we have need to do in week 3. Now we need to heavily focus on system design, because system design is lot more harder than the data structures and algorithm. So let's kick in how we can plan our days for the system design. Week number 4, that is low level design. From day 21 to day 22, dedicate these 2 days for learning the basics of low level design like OOPS concept, solid principles, which is the most important principles whenever it comes to the design systems. Last, that is design patterns. There are several design patterns like structural design pattern, behavioral design pattern. Day 23 to day 25, we need to have some hands-on projects like design a parking lot, elevator or designing the game. This will make us familiar with how we can design a system using the low level design. And day 26, we'll go some with basics interview questions so that we can get familiar with what type of questions is asked during a time of interview. And day 27 will be completely and heavily focused on low level design mock interviews. Or if you are unable to give these mock interviews, go on YouTube and check the mock interviews which is given by some people just to get familiar with how we can approach the problem. Let's summarize what we need to do in week number 4, that is learning low level design. Week 5, high level design. So let's check out what are the things that we need to be familiar with whenever it comes to the high level design. Day 28 to day 29, scalability, database, caching and the queues. Read the blogs related to these topics. Reason why, whenever you are sitting in interview, you might be asked questions like why you are using this database, how can you scale your application, which caching technique is more important and will be more beneficial. So such type of questions can be asked during a time of interview to make a trade-off. Day 30 to 33, design a real-world systems like make a system design of URL shortener, design for Instagram, design a chatting systems like WhatsApp. This will give us a clear picture how we can think of non-functional requirement, how we can think of functional requirement, and how we can go in deep dive to design a system from small level to the higher level. And day 34 will be design any of your favorite app, and day 35 will be heavily mainly focused on mock of HLD interviews, that is high level design interviews. Let's summarize what we need to do in week number 5, that is high level design. So here is a bonus tip, that is the mock interviews and final preparation. So we will be dedicating at least 7 days for preparing for mock interviews and final touch-up. So let's check out how we can design these things. You can go to the website like LeetCode, into the discussion section, read all the interview experience of the people who have given the interviews to that companies. This will boost your confidence to check what are the questions are asked and how we can approach that questions. This video has helped you. Don't forget to like and subscribe this video.